This is another one of your must-know topics for A-level biology. This is the different stages of aerobic respiration. So we can see the 4 different key stages at the bottom here. Now, I'm not going to go through each of these in real detail because that would take a much longer video. But what I will give you is where each stage happens, a summary of what happens in each stage, and what the key reactants and products are for each stage. And again, if you find this helpful, please leave a like. And if you'd like to see more content like this, then make sure you follow the channel. Okay, so our first stage is glycolysis, which of course happens in both aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our glucose molecule, which is a 6-carbon molecule, and we're going to start by converting that into fructose 1,6-biphosphate, which is again a 6-carbon molecule, but it contains 2 phosphate atoms. And when we do this, we invest 2 ATP, and we're going to create 2 ADP from that. So this is our investment stage. We then convert that fructose 1,6-biphosphate into 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is a 3-carbon molecule. And then we convert that glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate into 2 molecules of pyruvate, which is again a 3-carbon molecule. Now, when we do that, we're also going to convert 1 NAD+ into NADH and 2 ADP into ATP. But remember, there's now 2 molecules of pyruvate. So for every glucose, this is happening twice. So we're actually going to get 2 times this, which means we're going to end up with 2 NADH and 4 ATP. So where does this happen? Well, glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm. What happens? Well, the overall reaction is that 1 glucose is converted into 2 molecules of pyruvate. The key reactants are glucose, 2 ATP, which we use in the investment stage here, and 2 NAD+. And our products are 2 molecules of pyruvate, 4 ATP, which is a net gain of 2 because we used 2 at the start, and 2 NADH. Next up, we have the link reaction. So this is a small reaction which happens just after glycolysis. So here we're going to take our pyruvate and we're going to start by converting it into a 2-carbon molecule called acetate. Now, one of those carbons is going to be released in the form of CO2, which is a waste product. And as we do this, an NAD+ is also going to be converted into NADH. We're then going to take our acetate and we're going to convert it into something called acetyl-CoA by adding coenzyme A to it. Now, this takes place in the mitochondrial matrix. And the purpose here is to convert pyruvate into acetyl-CoA. The main reactants of this are pyruvate, NAD+, and coenzyme A. And the main products are acetyl-CoA, carbon dioxide, and NADH. And remember that for every glucose molecule, we're going to get 2 pyruvate molecules. So this reaction is happening twice for every molecule of glucose. Next up, we have the Krebs cycle, sometimes called the citric acid cycle. And as we can see, this is where things start to get a bit complicated. So we're going to take our acetyl-CoA, which we made in the last stage, and we're going to join it with a 4-carbon molecule to make a 6-carbon molecule called citrate. We're then going to slowly break down that citrate molecule, and as we do that, hydrogen atoms are going to be transferred to the carriers NAD and FAD. And this is going to create lots of NADH and FADH2, which are going to be used in the next stage, which is the electron transport chain. A small amount of energy is also going to be released in the form of either ATP or GTP, which is a very similar molecule. And carbon dioxide is going to be released as a waste product. This again happens in the mitochondrial matrix. And the purpose of this is to convert acetyl-CoA into citrate, which can then be used to generate NADH and FADH2. The key reactants here are going to be acetyl-CoA, NAD+ and FAD, and 1 molecule of ADP. And the key products are going to be carbon dioxide, NADH, FADH2, and 1 ATP or GTP. And lastly, we have the final stage of aerobic respiration, which is the electron transport chain. So here we're going to take all of that NADH and FADH2 we've created building up to this point, and we're going to take the extra electrons from these electron carriers and pass them through a series of protein complexes in the electron transport chain. This is going to release the energy needed to pump hydrogen protons across the membrane and into the intermembrane space, like we can see here. This is going to create a really steep electrochemical gradient and a really high concentration of hydrogen protons in that intermembrane space. This leads us on to the second phase of this stage, which is chemiosmosis. And here those hydrogen protons are going to flow down their concentration gradient and back across the membrane through a protein called ATP synthase. And as they do that, that's going to generate the energy required to convert ADP into ATP. And this is where the majority of ATP is generated during aerobic respiration. Oxygen is also required here as the final electron acceptor. So it's going to accept these electrons that have been used in the electron transport chain, and it's also going to join with the protons passing back through the ATP synthase to create water, which is a waste product. That's why we need oxygen for aerobic respiration. This takes place in the inner mitochondrial membrane, otherwise known as the cristae. And what happens is the NADH and FADH2 provide electrons for the electron transport chain, which pumps hydrogen protons into the intermembrane space, and then as they flow back in through the ATP synthase, that generates ATP. The key reactants here are going to be the NADH and the FADH2, the oxygen, which is used as a final electron acceptor, and the ADP plus phosphate. And then the products are going to be lots of ATP, somewhere around 28 to 32, depending on how efficient the process is, and water, which is the waste product generated by the oxygen with the electrons and the hydrogen protons. So those are the main stages of aerobic respiration. Here's a quick summary of each stage. Again, if you like this, please leave a like and let me know in the comments what topic you'd like me to cover in the next video. Bye for now.